Good morning, everyone. It's John Grimsmo here. I am driving to Tormach for their open house right now. Very excited. I've got about a 10-hour drive ahead of me, and I'm there all weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So come along with me, and let's see what kind of cool stuff we see. So I'm about 5 hours into my drive now. Listening to a lot of podcasts. Right now I'm listening to a Tim Ferriss interview with Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis, and it's awesome. It talks a lot about big ideas, passion, value, and all these other great things, and it's really getting my mind going. So as I'm headed towards Tormach for their open house, John Saunders and I, we have a little speaking gig that we're going to do together, a bit of a Q&A session, and I'm trying to think to myself, how do I bring passion and value to everybody coming to the show? You know, what is the most value that I can bring to the show, and how can I apply that value? And that also got me thinking, you know, how can I bring value to you guys as the viewers who are sitting at home and weren't able to make it to the show or didn't want to go to the show, but how can I bring value to you guys? So I'm just going to do my best to ask questions, to get answers, to show cool things, and have a lot of fun and show what it's like. I mean, when you surround yourself with like-minded individuals, amazing things happen. So another thing Tony Robbins talked about in that interview was proximity. You know, if you sit at home and you do nothing all day, you have no proximity to great ideas and to people like-minded as yourselves, you're not going to grow, and growing and is the most important thing about life, is learning and growing. So I've been to many tool shows, and I always grow and I always learn, and I'm going to try to bring you guys along and show what it's like to put yourself in proximity with people that can make a difference. And I realize that I'm going to be someone who could make a difference to somebody coming to the show, so I'm going to do my absolute best to share that, share my passion, share my vision, and share any and all knowledge that I have. I mean, as you know from my YouTube videos, I share lots. I keep back just a little bit, just enough to keep my business my own, you know, but I do try to share and promote and just learn and grow as much as possible and show how much fun it can be. So I'm looking forward to the show for sure. So we're here at Tormach. I'm here with my buddy John Saunders. We've never actually met until last night. And let's take a quick tour of Tormach while we're here. Before everybody else comes in, it's nice and early in the morning. They've got this awesome big new facility. I got you. Yeah, this new facility is just amazing. All right, so here they've got all the stuff for sale. This is cool. This is the new, the shear hog.
Sweet, they're releasing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
With a TTS holder. John and I have both been using this, playing with it. It's really cool.
But this is better because the version that we play with is a straight shank, so this is actually going to repeat with a pressed on collar.
And it'll fit in the tool changer and everything.
Right. Awesome.
And again, my display is turning off all by itself.
Oh.
Even better.
It's a warehouse.
Warehouse.
You can go ahead and do those double doors right there.
Well, I'll follow you.
Sweet. Jason, you want to say hi? Badger works.
Top secret.
Top secret. Here we go. Hey. This is cool. This is like, it's like playground right here.
No, I'm going to 60.
And then when the Spanish man comes up to me and talks to me, no, I'm not going to go. The middle machine's got the sweet tattoos through it.
Oh, nice.
The very one part, like it gets around to the backpack.
Well used.
I think you're belt.
Grimsmo just handed me his new gimbal toy. Here he is.
Welcome. So we are in the research lab of Tormach, where they've got the hard use machines where they're doing all their testing and R&D and all that stuff. And it's really cool to see all the it's the employees here playing and learning and expressing themselves. It's really cool to see all the projects that they're up to.
Cut to length?
Do you think a coleslaw would be okay to cut something that thick?
So this is Tormach's new facility, which they built a couple years ago. The last time I was here was for my knife making class 3 years ago. And I haven't seen this new facility yet until this morning. And it's just an amazing place. I mean, they've got these awesome banners outside. They've got a wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube guy. Gotta have one of those. And this building is just beautiful and massive inside. Love it. So happy to be here.
Welcome to Tormach.
Welcome to Tormach. Thank you.
He might not be in because he's already got glasses.
Everything I can get from this side, which will end up looking basically like this part. Yeah, it'll look like that, and I'll get everything I can from this direction, and then I'll flip it like this.
You guys can take a look at what we got.
It's the ability to be able to show students, like, here's somebody that's actually doing it, using their skills and applying them to something that's creative and unique. So a privilege for me.
It's so much fun to be able to share and make videos and show them mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody loves seeing mistakes. And not just from a, oh, you screwed up, but like, I learned something.
No, absolutely. That was the thing that I had such great respect for. Like, in the early years when you would say, oh, you're your machine, and you're like, oh, no, it's wrong. And I was screwing with my friends at the time, and I said, and he's like, I can't believe you showed some of that stuff. I can't believe you showed all these screw-ups. And I'm like, that's what's great about it. It's honest, it's true, and it shows the learning experience you go through. And I tell my students, you can't be afraid to fail, because it's through the failure you actually learn the bonus hugely. I don't retain anything that works the first time, you know? Right.
Yeah.
And often mistakes are the best teachers. Right.
You can't be afraid to try things.
Exactly. So that's so a real privilege to get to meet you. So, yeah.
That's your nines.
Oh, I can't. How do I get it to bend down?
Double
Doesn't.
red?
On what?
On this button. That is crazy. Feel free to film whatever.
Yeah, right?
Probably all of you. Depends on what you do. No, it keeps going. You can stall the motor if you're taking a really heavy cut. It's a 3 horsepower motor. If you overpower it, it's just going to stop.
How do you actuate the blade lock?
This way.
This way?
Move it.
That way. Okay.
Okay. Of those people, how many of you are already using some prior experience with CNC equipment? All right. So, a bit of an overview for the folks that it sounds to me like we have roughly a third of the people here don't own a Tormach machine but have some experience with CNC. And then maybe half of us here have machines but are still using Mach.
So we're here at the open house. We've been having a great time. John and I have been talking to all kinds of amazing people. Guys will come up to me and be like, oh, I've seen all your videos, or I've seen some of your videos, and absolutely love what you're doing. And you've been a big inspiration for me. So let's go check out some of the other classes that are going on right now. Yeah, it's been really sweet to interact with all the customers. It's getting packed in here. Like almost every room is full of tutorials. We can do this. Say hi to the robot.
Hi, robot. I missed you down at John's.
Yeah, I was literally on my way.
That's what I heard. So that's a shame.
But how was it? How was it?
Real good. I only live about an hour and a half away, so it was worth the drive.
You square it up on I squared it up on a manual mill, and then when you cut all these circles on all the sides, it makes it look like there's a bunch of smaller cubes inside of it. Yeah, it does look like that.
The concentric lines and squares.
The CNC program and master. Half-inch back fixture reference. So it cuts this side, and then you flip it, cut the next side, and then you just keep flipping it until you've got all of the sides machined out, and then
I'm John.
I'm John as well.
Thanks for coming. What we thought we would do, we were sort of trying to talk about what makes sense. Is I'm going to talk for a few minutes, he's going to talk for a few minutes, and then hopefully we can do, I think this will be mostly valuable as a Q&A, because I always have to know what you guys want to hear, and so much of what we do is somewhat public anyway, that I think what will be cool, hopefully, is the different sides, the interactive side.
Yeah, so think of your questions now, and please ask anything. And we'll be open about it. Yeah. So, tell me about yourself.
My name's John. So I run the YouTube channel NYCCNC. I would guess a lot of you probably have watched it. So what I wanted to do was try to talk a little bit different than what the YouTube channel is. So I wanted to bring a product to market my senior year of college. I paid an engineer, we paid machine shops, and we got this prototype back, and we had no idea how to go to Dev 2. We had at this time I didn't know what an Enville was, a Bridgeport was. This is 2005. Long story short, I had a partner, and we decided, pencils down, he actually went to the Navy, and I bought the tag in my Manhattan apartment. And I literally knew nothing about CAD, CAM, tooling, anything, and I thought I would own the machine for a year or two, try to learn enough to talk to engineers and machine shops, and then kind of be done with it. What happened was I fell in love with it, and to keep it relevant to this discussion about Tormachs and small businesses, is I wanted a bigger machine and convinced my wife to move out of Manhattan to the suburbs, literally, I'm not joking, to a walkout basement so that we could buy a Tormach. This is before I had any relationship with Tormach. There was no question. That was the machine I wanted. And so my takeaway for this and thinking about Tormach and small businesses is the tag was great because I was in an apartment and it satisfied that need. But what I love about the Tormach is it was the right machine for me back in 2007 when I still didn't know that much, and it continues to be a great machine for me to this day. And there are some things I maybe feel like maybe I've outgrown, but it is a great machine. And even now, when I'm trying to train the guy Jared that works for me, I would never put him on a 800 inch per minute machine that's going to cost me more for service repair than my whole Tormach did as I bought it. So I'll go back to my notes here. I'm glad we bought. Fortunately, I got lucky that I got the Tormach when I got it because we were trying to make an auto reset rifle target, and that business did okay. But what ended up happening was about a year into owning the Tormach, we were filming promotional videos of these rifle targets, and so we were machining mounts to put our cameras onto guns. And this is why I love the Tormach. We were doing our own R&D. We were tinkering with the prototypes, and then when we needed to do something like we wanted a GoPro on an AR-15, I was just like, well, we can do that. And we ended up being the first to market with a GoPro AR-15 mount. It's a company called Strike Mark that a partner and I had founded. And this went from nothing to something really quick. And so what happened was I had to learn. The Tormach was not just this like fun toy for R&D anymore, but we were running production. So I had a 32 position fixture plate. I would get home from my day job at like 6 or 7, and I would try to get 2 cycles in per night of parts, like 60 parts per night. And that's what forced me to learn really how to have the Tormach be a real machine that made us parts and it made us money. I like it to this day. It's really low maintenance. I was just talking about how I'm going to do my first in this video. I thought the machine was made parts, not to be maintenance every day. And I like it because, and this is very, very personal, but I didn't want to, at the time, I didn't want to go into debt when I didn't know what kind of revenue stream I'd be coming. I didn't want the Tormach to be a burden to me. Now it's different because we're a business, but still, the price point for value was great then. It was great today.
Excellent. I've got a lot of the same things that he just said, but I'll give you a quick backstory about myself. I'm John Grimsmo. I have Knife Making Tuesdays on YouTube. With Grimsmo Knives, we make awesome pocket knives. And but before that, I started out with machining probably about 2007, and I got a Grizzly mini mill, Grizzly lathe, and then slowly converted those to CNC, mostly as a hobby. But I was also super into cars at the time, modifying, welding and making my own parts. So I wanted to have a car business where I would make aftermarket parts for the cars. So that got me into CNC, but still mostly as a hobby thing, because I didn't see much market. How do I make enough parts to make money to do this? So slowly things grew and grew, and I did start making parts, and I did start needing more machinery. And then I got into the knife world through a friend who told me about these custom knives that guys are selling for like $500 or $1,000. I'm like, really? Because I already know how to CNC stuff. I can start making those. So the transition from already knowing CNC to making knives was pretty easy for me. So this was 3-4 years ago, back when CNC knives were not super popular yet. There were guys doing it, but nobody was really making a big thing of it. And that's about when I started doing my videos too. So then I started making knives, and just a few, and they started getting really popular. So I needed to make more. So then I was like, I can't do this on my little X2 that only makes one at a time. It makes it kind of terrible. It can do it, but it's not very good. So I looked into getting the Tormach, and I'd already known about them through all the ads in machine magazines and all that. And the price point was totally attractive to what I was doing. And as John said, at that point, I could never have afforded anything more, nor would I have needed anything more, because it's just it was the right fit at the right time for me for the Tormach. So I've had it for 3 years now, and as you've probably some of you have seen in the YouTube videos, it's been a constant growth progression of making one product, our Norseman knife, and just continually improving it and figuring out the fixturing and the tolerances and the accuracy to be able to make an awesome knife. So for a small business, the Tormach is amazing because one of the things I like about it is, yes, it's not the fastest, it's not the most powerful machine in the world, but you can crash it all day long and learn, and you're not going to break it. As you said, for maintenance, like I tightened up the gibs and the ball screws a little bit last year, but that's just to get some extra tolerance out of it. As far as maintenance, I don't think I've really broken anything or needed to replace anything major. Mach 3 has given me its share of headaches, but with Path Pilot, they kind of solved that hopefully. But yeah, like as a learning tool, if you're fairly new into it, or if you don't have a lot of demand, a lot of business, a huge machine shop doesn't need 50 Tormachs, they need proper machines. But for all of us starting businesses and learning and practicing and just figuring our lives out, the Tormach is such an amazing fit because it just works.
We were having breakfast this morning, and we sounded like a bunch of old people. We're like, kids have it so easy these days. Like when we started, there were no YouTube tutorials. There were like these British guys sprue can videos that we were trying to like decrypt and figure out how to make parts. Nowadays, with not just our videos, but all the other accessibility, the CAD, it's so easy.
Yeah. So, what else can we talk about? I lost my train of thought. Okay, you say something.
I was sort of switching topics. Somebody was asking me about what we do, and one of the things I wanted to talk about with business, as it comes to Tormach and business and customer service, is we have no problem when we work with customers saying what we can't do. I'm not worried about someone criticizing me. I sort of still tell people, like, I'm not a machinist. I've never had any formal training. I've never been an apprentice. Yeah. So I don't have a problem. Some people, I have no problem telling a customer we can't do that, or what'll happen is we'll do smaller runs for people, and then we'll eventually say, look, when you're going to quote these at X quantity, we'll help you go somewhere else, because I will lose that customer either way, but if I lose them by actually helping them find the right long-term solution, you've engendered a huge amount of goodwill. They will usually come back to you for the smaller stuff anyway, and it's kind of like the right thing to do.
Yeah, it's helping.
Yeah.
We both, I I see that you watching your videos, and I know that about myself, is we're trying to do the right thing, we're trying to share, we're trying to teach the world our mistakes and what we're learning, because it's all a learning process. And if we can help increase that learning time any amount, then good on us. I mean, it's fun. And one of the best things about my videos is the comments that I get, because I'll make a mistake, I'll say something about the video, and then in the comments, guys are like, okay, try this next time. So I go and try it, and holy cow, it worked, because some guy who works at Tesla told me how to do it right. And literally, that's the case. I have friends now that work at some of the biggest companies in the world because they watch my videos. And Tormach started watching my videos before I bought the machine. And it's like, it's all this. The minute I started turning the camera around and being like, hi, I'm John Grimsmo. It's not just, this is the camera looking at the parts I'm making. That's not very exciting. It's factual, but it's not personality. And as we know with reality TV these days, people like people, as good or bad as the show may be. But, you know, when you two, there was a point when you turned the camera around, and we, different times, but we both had that same effect. When, you know, your viewership starts going up, people start knowing you. It's like your friends now with all your followers. And that made a huge turning point in my YouTube career, but also in my following in general, in my sales, my business. And now I've grown to the point where I can make pretty much anything, and my customers will buy it for almost any price that I'm because of Tormach.
Can you talk about, have you advertised, or what role?
I've done very little. You mean market advertising, like product, or what?
Yeah, like just rooms on, like how do you sell?
We don't advertise. We have our YouTube channel. I spent very little time on forums because I was so interested in machining and learning, and I used my YouTube to share it. So I didn't share much on the forums. The knife forums were kind of boring to me because I'm more a creator, manufacturer than I am a knife collector. You know, my knife that I carry that I made is the most expensive knife I own because I can't afford all these other guys' knives. I have tools to buy. So we don't market, we don't do ads in magazines. We go to all the big knife shows because people like to see us, and since we have the YouTube videos, people have a connection with us and they love seeing us at the show. And just like you guys here, like, I've seen you on YouTube. And I get that at the knife shows too. Eric gets it in the bathroom at knife shows. What's up? I've seen you. Give me a second, I'm gonna wash my hands. But yeah, like, YouTube's awesome. This for all above reasons.
Hey John, NYCCNC, how has that changed your business? Because obviously you're in a very different place than you were 3 years ago.
Yeah, some people ask me, and I probably should have thought of a better answer to say, and I don't know. I stopped being involved in the daily operations of this business a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago, and I kind of took some time off, and then, as I think most of you guys know, I moved from New York back to Ohio about a year ago, and we do sort of three things. We do the videos, we do some job shop work, and then we do some of our own products. I'd like to do more of our own products, but there's something about me, I think everyone here may be the same way, but like I get this huge personal satisfaction out of the trifecta of knowing I can make parts, knowing I can make money making parts, and like being able to be part of helping other, it sounds corny, but like helping other people get their products made. It's really cool. So it's probably not the most profitable thing because it's really hard to scale job shop stuff, but that's also where the videos have sort of limitless scale in terms of the audience, and that's why when we can do a job shop job, we can also make it into a video. It's a win for us.
And our businesses differ a little bit because you have more of the job shop jobs, whereas I am a product-oriented company. I make one knife with lots of options, lots of designs, and lots of tweaks. But at the end of the day, I mean, as he said, we have the ability to think of something, to design it, to machine it, to finish it, and to use it all in the same day if you want. And it's such an amazing power. And we both started out in our garages. And these are the machines that can fit in your garage and can let you do pretty much anything. I mean, these Tormachs can make pretty much anything. I cut titanium all day long, which everybody says is such a hard material to machine. But it's like, I can do it. Why can't anybody else?
There's another point too. I was totally illegal in New York suburbs, like with my Tormach. I was violating zoning. I couldn't get. It was hard to get freight deliveries. I couldn't get raw materials. I didn't care. You know.
Yeah.
But that was the Tormach was. the right machine, period. But in terms of the garage, 220 was fine, but we were dealing with trying to phase and weight of
And I mean, on top of a host of other things, but the cost of ownership of these more expensive machines is so much more expensive. Like I just replaced the spindle on my Tormach, mostly just because it's rusting on the outside and it looked ugly in videos. So I bought the $500 replacement spindle and put it in like an hour. I did a video, but I haven't finished it yet. And all of a sudden, the bearings sound a little bit better because they've had 3 years of heavy use on them. But I'm like, I just replaced the spindle for $500. And I've heard on a Haas, it's $5,000. On a Morisaki, it's $20,000. And here you're having replacement parts you can put in yourself. You don't need a service guy to come in to charge you $1,000 just to say hi. And you're expected to do it yourself because it's like a high-end do-it-yourself machine, And just the pride of being able to make anything. Yeah, you forget that. You get caught up in business and life and work and making money that you forget the passion sometimes behind it. But I think with the YouTube channels, it keeps us grounded because we get to share that passion and show it and like remember why we're doing this because we're sharing that fact with everybody else. Yeah. Okay. Question. Let's start with the question. You.
I'd like to hear from both of y'all on two different subjects. One is when you're using the Tormach to make money, do you go to carbide end mills by default because you can run them faster? And in that case, what have y'all found out as far as the ideal cooling system, rather the mist, the trickle flood, or the aggressive flood?
Okay.
And lastly, I have heard on other channels that 3-flute end mills are far more stable when you're doing interpolation compared to 4 or 2-flute. And the stresses on the end mill are a whole lot less. I'm wondering if either one of y'all have experienced that.
Yeah, I can answer all of those and you can tie in. I'll go first. Okay, the first part was carbide. I always used carbide end mills. I never really started on high-speed steel. I know a lot of manual machinists are sort of conditioned to high-speed steel, but since I've always been interested in CNC, I've had carbide from the beginning. So, mostly solid carbide end mills and some insert end mills. I get most of my stuff from Lakeshore Carbide. He came to your event, Carl.
Yeah.
Awesome talk about that too. Yeah. I've had lunch with him. He's an awesome guy. And cheap end mills in stock on the site. So carbide end mills are great. They do break instead of deflect or bend, but that's just cost of business. So yeah, carbide end mills, and the coating depends on what you're trying to do. I do mostly steel and titanium, so TAILM, whatever it's called, coating for most of my stuff. For aluminum, either uncoated or the ZRN, whatever, that works fine. For coolant, I'm a big flood coolant fan. I've always used the flood coolant, and currently I've upgraded my. Were we different? Okay.
Would you repeat that? I didn't catch what you said.
Which part? All of it?
The aggressive flood?
Yeah, I use flood coolant. And I've actually upgraded my Tormach cooling system. I've got this big Rubbermaid tub about this big that gets me 3 times more volume because it does evaporate. And then when it runs out, you run out of coolant. And I have like 8-hour runs sometimes, and I don't want to run out of coolant. So I've got these big Rubbermaid tubs with a Home Depot pond pump and a 1/6 horsepower pond pump that just garden hoses coolant in this thing. And I've got a couple extra nozzles hooked up, and it just clears the chips. It keeps it cool, especially with titanium and stainless. You cannot let it get hot, otherwise you'll just burn it and destroy everything. But I've got the full enclosure, so you need the full enclosure to do this extra horsepower pump, more flow stuff. But yeah, the flood coolant is definitely messier, but I recently switched to Qualichem coolant, which is a very high-end coolant. The Tesla guy that I mentioned before told me to use it, so I'm like, okay, done. If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. And it's fantastic. I mean, literally my parts are shinier just by switching coolant, and my tools are lasting longer. So little changes like actual cooling quality can make a big impact on something. And since I run production parts, I have this consistency where I can notice changes. And it takes a while to get to that point where you actually notice changes. But and then to answer your last question, 3-flute, I like to think of 3-flute as an aluminum thing. I don't do much aluminum work. So for me, it's all 4-flute or 5-flute or 6-flute end mills for stainless and titanium, because you want to make a thinner chip and you want to evacuate it as quickly as possible. Whereas with a 3-flute or 2-flute end mill, you can take a bigger cut in aluminum and it doesn't plug up the end mill. So with aluminum, 3-flute I think is good. And to answer your actual question about 3-flute versus 2-flute is it deflects differently, like it vibrates differently because there's 3. And 5-flute is the same way, and 7-flute is the same way. So it apparently reduces harmonics in the end mill. I'm not an expert on that, but I try to learn it all.
Some of that goes back to like variable fluid.
Right.
A lot of this stuff, I think, it's really cool to see how much the stakes have been raised on like questions like this that are getting asked by, I'll say laymen. I've become friends with Carl at Lakeshore Carbide, who makes great tooling. Honestly, I don't know his tooling is better, but I like him a lot.
Yeah.
He's been good to the community. So he and I have actually done a video series that we've been scripting it, we have filmed it.
He's been trying to get me to do that for 2 years.
Yeah, on like, we're gonna call it like kindergarten to 8th grade for tooling. We're gonna try to walk through in terms that I understand, not journeyman tooling guy. What is what? Chip load, SFM, variable flute, aluminum, all that stuff. Try to break some of that. That's good.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do it, but it's busy.
I'm free time.
Oh yeah, you have a lot.
And then New York John, you had a different view on flood than Canadian John.
But it's not because it's not at all because it's better. The truth is I've never once run flood cooling, so I have no experience. We started with the Trico, which I really just buy Fogbuster instead, because I didn't think I was going to use my mill all the time, and that was true. And flood coolant, like leaking, getting
got more maintenance.
Yeah, and I was like, hey. And now we don't, for 2 reasons. The videos, it's nice to not have the flood cooling in the way, and I love high PSI air blast. In my humble opinion, coolant does 3 things. It lubricates, it cools, and it clears chips. For us, clearing chips is the biggest part of that, and high pressure airstream is a lot more attainable than high PSI flood.
And is most of your work aluminum or steel? Because John's talking about steel and titanium.
I probably cut like 70–80% aluminum, but I will cut most grades of steel very comfortably and comfortably. I think with no problem
With the carbide.
Yep.
Okay.
And are you primarily a carbide user or high-speed steel user?
I have never purchased a new high-speed steel tool that I'm aware of in the last few years. We're not. So here's the thing. There's merits to. We'll talk about this in the videos. But carbide is technically less. We'll use high-speed steel on certain plastics if we're cutting that. But we use carbide even though we don't push it to the limit like carbide may want to be, because the stiffness is generally a good thing. We're doing a lot more adaptive, full depth, thinner width of cut. But the Tormach compared to a $250,000 machine is going to be harder on tool life. But we're not. I don't factor in tool cost to my margin. I'm not that competitive. Like I'm not doing runs where for job shops that matters. If you start breaking tools too soon, you will cut your margin out. And so I guess one of the questions we should probably talk about is how do you guys make money with Tormachs? And you can do it through job shop stuff, you can do it through products. But I do not think that was end mills last me a pretty darn long time.
Especially doing various work. They're always there. And I go through end mills fairly regularly, but because of production, I know that this 1/16th end mill will last me between 9 and 18 handles before it just kicks up a really big burr, and I know it'll break like the next handle. So then I'll remove it or just let it break. Or I get to know the tool life a little bit, and I watch. Because we have such a high standard for our product, because we charge such a ridiculously high price, we have to be very clear about having chips in our end mills, because that'll leave a crappy finisher on the outside, which is more finishing work for my brother. And then all these little things. So I'm sometimes replacing tools earlier than they need to be, but because of a chip, it doesn't look as good. Things like that.
First of all, thank you for all your work on the videos. would guess that that's one reason Tormach has sold a lot of machines.
Tell them that.
Relative to that, keeping your bottom line, how much do you see a trend where you're going to do less video work to explain things in the future? But it takes a hit, right? How long does it take you to do a video? And in that regard, are you shifting away from things like, say, ScrewCam toward SolidWorks or other solutions where we're trying to follow you guys in terms of the solutions? I would personally like to see more ScrewCam 9 stuff. Instead of just glossing over it and getting to the machine part.
I mean, ScrewCam was great. I like SolidWorks plus HSM, but that's not fair because SolidWorks is $5,000 plus $1,200 a year. You shouldn't have to hit that hurdle to have a lot of fun with Tormach, which is why I now love Fusion 360. I don't like the CAD quite as much as SolidWorks. That's partly my own investment in SolidWorks, but the CAM is stupid. Like really, I love it. So I will do. If you guys need stuff on ScrewCam, I've tried to be pretty responsive to videos out there on how to do stuff on that, but I will probably switch more to Fusion 360 or HSM inside of SolidWorks is actually the same CAM. What was your first question? Oh, videos?
Videos taking a hit on your, like, will you stop doing videos because you're busy?
I'm doing videos. It's like my reward to myself. We're pretty fast at doing them. Next week will be 52 weeks of the Wednesday widget. I will admit that it's been kind of a grind to do a video every week for a year straight. We're thinking about, and videos have changed. I think now what I want to do is more 4 to 9 minute specific instructional type videos, and then periodically, twice a month, have more project videos. I think from a reality TV standpoint, people are much more interested in seeing projects come to life. I still think there's a huge application on YouTube for how to make your Tormach or CAD or CAM do something you want it to do.
And from me, I mean, anybody who's following me has probably noticed a hit in videos in the past year, just because I do get busy. And the videos are a side thing for me. John focuses a lot on videos. He puts a lot of production quality into them. I'm just like, hey, I'm John. Let's do this. So I don't always have time to do that. And luckily, about a year ago or more, I outsourced my video editing. So I don't have to do it anymore because that would it'd take me like hours per video. And I'm like, this makes me no money. Why am I doing this? I'll pay a guy. I have this awesome guy in the Philippines now that does all my video editing. And he's great. And so I just put files on my Google Drive and he edits them, and in a couple days they're back and they're perfect and done. I don't have to work with that anymore. So I have a personal love for doing the videos and sharing and just bringing people along with the cool stuff that I'm working on because I'm so passionate about it, and I want to share it, and not just to promote my business because I'm not making advertisements. I'm making like, this is the cool thing I'm working on. If you want to see it, keep watching. So I do want to keep doing videos, and spending the time to do more tutorial videos, like you mentioned, does take extra effort and extra time and planning and all that. They end up being better videos, but they just take more work. So you have to balance, where your benefits and your time is most valuable.
I'll say too, I want to thank you. I'll be honest, I am able to spend more time making videos because Tormach sponsors the channel. I'm not going to like fib about that. So I want to say thank you to Tormach for sponsoring both of us because it does matter and it's made our videos better. And I'm a capitalist. I'm not a greedy person. I don't think so. It's great. It lets us do something we love.
Yep. A quick follow up then. What is your CAD/CAM strategy then for the next year or so? What tools are you using? SolidWorks, Fusion 360?
We both own legitimate SolidWorks licenses. Yeah. HSM comes great with that, and I will do more Fusion 360 because of its critical mass. And I wish Autodesk wasn't here because they're going to think this is like a shill, but the resources they put behind Fusion 360 are mind-blowing. You can screen record inside the software, upload it, and have results from their community in minutes. It's incredible.
So I'm on SolidWorks as well with the 3D HSM Works package, which is the top tier package. It lets me do all my 3D machining, like I do on my handles and a lot of the detail work and stuff. It's very much like Fusion 360, but it's just the top tier version, whereas Fusion 360 is more subscription based, more available to the market and newer, I think. It's based on the HSM Works formula. But I love it. HSM Works blows my mind.
Just one last quick follow-up to that. Do you see Path Pilot, and especially its conversational mill and lathe work, as being a huge boost to what you're doing now, or is it just sort of?
I use the lathe conversational all the time. I don't use the mill conversational because if you guys watch my videos, I'm really good at getting mill CAD CAM done really quickly. So that's just my go-to there.
And I have Path Pilot on my lathe, but I don't have it on my mill yet. But I love it on the lathe because it just works. Whereas on my mill, I've still got Mach 3 and there's bugs and there's problems. And at least I know all the workarounds around them, which took me a long time to learn. So the mill is consistent, so I don't want to change it because it just works. But yeah, I love Path Pilot. I think it's definitely the right choice for Tormach.
Yeah. I had a question about running a small business. Was there a point where you had to, just make a risk and a decision to commit to it, or did it sort of just kind of organically follow along the road?
I'll start. There's been several points, probably. The most recent of which was a month ago when we got our new workshop. And I've always worked out of home, and now for many reasons, I'm working out of capacity. Like, we have such a demand for our product, we cannot make enough of them. And our income is limited because we can only make so many. So we need to expand. So we got a bigger facility, which is an 8-minute drive from home, and I'm now working out of home, which is kind of sucky because I love being at home. I've got 2 kids, love working from home, love, if I need to go out in the middle of the night and start something, that's fine. And I often wake up, super early in the morning, set up a run to go, and then come back inside and make my breakfast and take my kids to school, and then come back and the machine's still running. And it's like, yes, I've been making money that whole time. And then to go back even more, I'm sure there's been several points where it's like, do we do this and make a big change, a big decision, and invest money, or do we stay where we are or just not do it at all? And of course, those are only decisions you can make yourself and get advice from anybody. But yeah, of course, you have to make these decisions, and they're big and scary, and you have to weigh them. Like, is this what I want to do? Is there profit margins in this? Can I physically do this? And it's great to think big and to strive to do whatever you want, because I've always looked at everything and said, I can do that. And it might take me 6 months to figure it out, but I did it. And I'm sure a lot of people out here are kind of the same way because you're at a CNC tool event, so you're do-it-yourselfers. You want to be able to have the skill to do it.
So I'm a bootstrapping entrepreneur. Like I worked my day job because I wanted to be able to afford to buy things like Tormach with less risk. So that was like a no-brainer to me. The big decision, I'm very grateful. I've been very supportive with it.
Me too.
But the big decision for me was I actually worked my day job until we left New York a year ago. So I was working ridiculous hours between the 2 businesses. But I don't know, I like working. I would be exhausted from the day job and get home and I have no problem working more. I now have a child as well, and that really does change things. But I waited. I was fortunate enough to wait and forego that steady income stream after I had used my Tormach and my skills to have the confidence and have created a legitimate business with not taking, to me, I don't have the risk appetite to quit my job without the confidence or experience and then take on debt to buy a machine and sort of say, I can do this. Some people can do that. I couldn't.
Yeah, there's certain risk lines you have to balance. Because you shouldn't just quit your job and buy Tormach and be like, okay, now what do I do? You need a product, you need an idea, you need work lined up. You have to run this as a business, and there's millions of business books out there that, sure, they're not about machining, but they're about building small businesses. And I'm starting to read a lot of that. I'm learning a lot about lean manufacturing because you have to be lean in order to make any money. Because wasted time anywhere is just killing your profit margins. So I'm learning a lot about that. And right now I'm trying to grow myself as a businessman, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, because we have the following, thankfully, to continue the business. And we can grow from here. And we can do, I don't know what we can do, but luckily.
Books are great. Really books are great.
Yeah.
Just do it. I don't care if you go to a makerspace, if you have to buy a non-Tormach machine, just do it.
What was kind of like your lowest point, and then how did you kind of work?
Well, hard one. Who wants to grid first? You. Okay. Lowest point. Well, one more big thing, going back to your question about high risks, was my wife supported me for many years while I learned all this stuff and tried to find my way in life and tried to make the car parts and get the Tormach and all that. She worked up until our son was born 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So that was a big decision. It was for her to quit work and for me to take on all of the responsibility. And that was around the same time my brother came on, and I had to support him as well. So it's like big stuff. But anyway, so big, scary.
Well, that was a follow-up question.
Yeah.
How do you deal with kids?
Okay, well, what's your first one?
The first one was your lowest point. Lowest, like how you kind of rationalize through it to persevere.
Before knives were my saving grace. Because before knives, I was struggling to make money. My wife supported me. We made just enough to get by. We had our first daughter. I was trying to create a business somehow with my Grizzly machines. I did custom aluminum anodizing on the side. I was anodizing paintball guns, making $80 here and there. And it was just enough to support, basically, to make no extra money. And that was a really low point for me. And then knives came along, and I'm like, holy crap, I can sell a knife for $500? Are you kidding me? Yeah. So I started doing that. I invested. That was a big decision. I went to the first knife show in Vegas that I thought of. That was like 2 months later, and started getting a lot of interest from the work that I was doing. So,
you think that was the catalyst in the knife interest, is going to the shows?
Yes, especially as a beginner, as a learner in the knife world. Going to the shows is like being on speed, because you're like, I want to make a knife like that. I want to make a knife like that. Oh, look at this detail. Oh, look at that detail. I don't like this knife. This knife feels like crap. And you just see all this stuff, and it's like rapid fire. And you have to take notes to be able to understand anything. But yeah, the shows are huge. I mean, at this point, I've been doing this for 4 years in the knives, and I get less and less from the shows because, not to say that I'm at a high level or anything, but compared to the knives that I see, I'm like, these aren't as good as mine. From a technical machinist aspect, like my knives have a more technical feel and accuracy than all this other stuff. So. But yeah, low points certainly before knives. And since then, it's been pretty good, steady. Any low points?
Honestly, no. I never put myself. I try to make sure I never set myself up to like let myself down or my wife down. I mean, it was not a small decision when I told my wife we bought this new house and we're never going to park in the garage. So when I first bought my tag, I had this engineer in Colorado who's pro engineer, very old tour guy, who I sort of told him, I'm going to buy. I didn't even know what Fastenal was. Like I was a Manhattan kid as an adult, and he told me not to. He was in no uncertain terms. You will fail. You're not that smart at that. And I was kind of like, maybe you're right, but I'm going to fail on my own terms, not on your terms. And so I'm not trying to make it sound like I was some motivational kick in the pants. I was going to do it either way. But I remember him saying, you can't do this. And back then, there was a chance I would have failed, especially if I didn't know I was going to like it as much as I did. I really didn't. I thought it was just a tool for me to learn how to speak with machine shops engineers and then just put that tool in my tool set and kind of move on. But then, honestly, since then, to this day, I will actually say yes to some jobs. I said yes to a job before I hop on a plane here to make a part that I don't know how I'm going to do yet. They're not blows, but that's kind of how I figured it out. Factually, I've never had a part we made determined, and I accepted the job, and then the customer later told me the tolerances were unrealistic, and I had declined and refunded this money. But otherwise, I just kind of bite off more than I can chew and chew.
Sure. Have either of you run into like zoning issues running out of your garage or basement or anything?
I was illegal in New York. I never it piss on these people who are going to tell me not to run small business out of my house. I'm sorry. I know
that's squishing small business, period. But it's possible that you could get screwed for it, but don't get caught.
Back there?
Yeah. Or is there anything that like you would have done differently? I mean, full spectrum from business, tooling, machines? Like, what were the things that, like, looking back, yeah, I should have done it this way or something like that?
I'll answer one thing quickly. Don't get too hung up in decisions. I think too many decisions can paralyze you. But that's why I'm kind of like, just do it. Damn it. Just do it. Like whatever you want to do, be smart.
Yeah, I recently heard a thing that said, imagine you only have 100 decisions in the day. And throughout the day, you're wasting all these decisions. What am I going to have for breakfast? What am I going to wear? What am I going to do this? So this guy said to eliminate all your decisions. Always have the same thing for breakfast. Always wear similar clothes. Just eliminate some of those decisions so you can actually spend more time on more important things. Okay, what was the main question again?
Like, looking back, what would you have done differently?
I have felt, sounds like, I have felt so, I love the fact that we can do so much in our shop. Tumble, debur, turn, mill, CAD, CAM. I have tried, if anybody's going to email me, I try to actually email back really quickly to almost everybody. I have to realize I can't do all that. I have to be more willing to spend money outsourcing. I've actually stopped checking my email. I'll check my email every 4 hours instead of every 20 seconds.
Yeah. And I can't keep up with emails either. It's terrible. I feel really guilty, and I have all this stress about not being able to keep up with emails because I want to connect with everybody who emails me, but I just don't have the time to do it. But as far as what would I do different, I wish I had more business skill going into it. I wish I spent more time learning how to run a business, learning how to manage money, learning how to manage people, because I think that would have accelerated where I am now, I think. Whereas I spent all my effort on making the best product that I possibly could, regardless of anything else. I didn't care how long it took. I didn't care how many tools I broke. I didn't care, what anybody else was saying about it. And our knife design had a lot of flack in the beginning just because, I don't know, a lot of people thought it was weird looking. It was funky looking, but I stuck with it anyway. And now it's like this grail knife for people. One guy's got 9 of them. And he bought them all secondhand for almost twice the price that I sell them for. And I'm like, what is going on here? But yeah, so I wish I had more business skill, which is why I'm trying to learn so much about that now to proceed.
Failing fast is important too.
Yeah, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah, it's fine to fail as long as you fail quickly.
Yeah, don't learn from it.
No, seriously, time is, he and I started this at the same time, we're the same age, and I can't spend 6 months on something that's not going to work out.
You're talking about being agile.
Well, like
agile and lean, there's some place in those that.
Yeah, it's okay to
you gotta turn it, learn from it, move along, move along.
Yeah. And in the beginning, I certainly spent like months designing something, whereas now I have to do it in days or less because I just can't spend that much time on it.
You guys are both similar in a lot of ways. Your social skills are high. Obviously, your technical skills are good. You speak well. Your business sense that you've talked about. What was the most important thing to you in terms of the success that you've achieved so far? What was the one thing that stands out?
Big question.
For me, it was the attitude I have is because I have no sense of entitlement about where I am. I'm self-taught, learned from the internet, super scary thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I've always felt like giving back. And some people call us teachers. I don't think of myself as a teacher, but I think what we do has created a lot of education and awareness in this growing industry. So, having that attitude of if I had grown up and my dad was a tool and die maker, I would probably be a lot. I was good at what I did. I would probably be. I'd have very different mentality about it.
I think I don't know, the only one thing I can come up with is thinking that I can tackle any challenge. I'm not afraid to try things. Not just fail, but I'm not afraid to do it. So just like, I can do that, I can make that. I can, whatever. I built my first CNC machine from a manual machine. I can do that, sure. So having it's not confidence, it's more like stupidity just to think that you can. But
you can know too much.
Yeah.
Like you literally can overthink things and become paralyzed.
Paralysis by analysis.
considering using Tormach in a business, the lathe and the mill, how do you cost those machines out, not with special fixturing and tooling and so on, but just in general, how would you advise people to cost out those machines, and also how do you factor in QC kind of operations, if they're even factored in?
For me, we did a video literally called How I Quote CNC Work. There's a spreadsheet. It's a 45-minute video. It's the only video which I really see kind of ramble, or not ramble, but talk at length. I would encourage you to watch that. I'm not denying it.
Is that what you're asking? How do you charge for work?
Yeah.
Well, I honestly, with my knives, I value my knives based on other people's price, based on the market. You know, if I said, okay, this takes me 20 minutes to machine, so I'm going to charge this much for that, then my price would not be compatible with the market. So I'm like, okay, the market knives are $500 to $900. I'm going to commit kind of roll on that, like $500 knife, and that's my price. And then options jack it up from there. I think my record is $1,400 for a knife.
And I do actually the same thing, which some people have a distaste for, but I would charge the same part. I would charge an artist a different price than I would a university professor or a corporate budget person, because it's not to me it's never what it costs you to make, it's what it's worth to them. And sometimes you can be willing to do it for less, sometimes more. Right.
Thank you both for all of what you do, your time and for this instance. I guess my question would be probably more for John Grimsmo. We were able to buy the product based on a commitment for some parts, and it just made it a no-brainer. I've got 3 boys coming up, and this is why it's directed at you. I've got 3 boys coming up, and I kind of like to keep out of Burger King and give them something to do, try to build into them over the years a desire to create product and do something for KMT. And so my question to you is, working with your brother, and of course it's a family business, implicitly as it is, but has that been something that means a lot to you? Has that had value that you both see in putting the time and working toward together?
Yes.
Because that's what I desire for myself.
Right, absolutely. And I see that in other family businesses. They have this cultural awareness among their customers that this is a family business, I'm going to support that. So in working with Eric, he came on with me 3 years ago. He quit his job at a hotel, used to live in Seattle, so he moved out here with me, and lived in our basement for 2 years, and we grew the business together. You know, I had a year head start in the knife world, so I got it all set up, and I designed the knife and everything. But working with him, I'll be honest, going from being self-employed to having an employee was difficult, because I not only have to keep myself busy, I have to keep him busy, and I have to pay him. And it was almost like twice the work for me now, because I'm delegating and I wasn't used to doing that. So that was a bit of an issue until we sort of split the business and said, I'm going to do all the machining and he's going to do all the finishing. So I give him a stack of finished parts and the knife flips and locks, and then he does everything else. He does all the hand polishing, and sharpening, and deburring, and coupling, and anodizing, and heat treating, and all that stuff. So once he had his own expertise and he can take ownership in those things, I don't touch them anymore. I trust that he can do it. He has this value that he can take pride in. And he takes a lot of pride in his work, and he spends way too long doing his work. Because it's like, it's gotta be perfect. This little scratch, you see that? No. It's right here, you see it? No, here's the loop. You see the scratch? Okay. So, yeah. Try to multiply the pride and make sure everybody's aware of it.
Andy just said one more question. I will say though, I really do try to email everybody back. So if there's a question you guys couldn't get to, you guys know I get a hold of both of us. Or grab us today or tonight to Barton. One more question.
Chronic liability. I mean, it's so nice. It's all over it. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, I haven't put a lot of effort into figuring out liability. If somebody gets hurt or injured or worse with my knife, I don't know what would happen. And more in the firearm industry, I don't know if that's different or not, but you have your hurdles.
No, long conversation. There's certain implicit user requirements when they're dealing with a gun or knife. There's an implicit knowledge you're dealing with. There's but we have a general insurance policy for a machine shop.
Yes, and we use it.
Okay, so basically you have like general insurance, not that with specialty. But that's the same thing, I do certain work, but I'm going to ask to make certain items. I'm like, well, I don't know if that's also special or
The big concern is if like somebody were to prove that you personally designed something that was designed in such a way that it created harm. And making knives is very
It's man's oldest tool. It's a pocket knife. If you hurt yourself, you're stupid. And honestly, like we make sharp objects, and Eric makes them stupid sharp. We cut ourselves more on burrs and on like random stuff and fixtures and pinch ourselves than we do cut ourselves on actual knives because we have a little bit of common sense and we just don't cut ourselves.
Thank you.
All right, name, rank, and serial number.
Hi, I'm Marty, and I make chainmail.
So this guy, he's got a Tormach 1100, right?
770.
770, that's right. I've known Marty for quite a while, just through email or whatever, so it's the first time we've met. He makes these really cool chainmail hacky sacks as well as many other products. We've bought his hacky sacks. Eric likes them. These are aluminum. You make titanium ones too.
Yep.
That's really cool. And he's also making this beautiful piece of work.
5,000 little metal spinner blades for fishing, and they've been modified with a larger hole, and then they're all attached together using spinner or keychain rings.
That is really crazy.
I think I've got about 120 hours into this so far.
Oh my goodness.
Putting it together, taking it apart, putting it back together.
It is so unique. Like,
you lose 20 pounds, have to take some more out.
Wow. And it's comfortable. Super comfy.
The best part is shining. You stand in the sun and it just sparkles.
I don't know if I can get the sun. I don't know. Wow, that is really cool.
In the turrets, they had actual little 3D printer heads in it.
You fix it, something doesn't fit, you have to take part of it apart.
Yeah.
On the wire? No,
in the machine.
I would think it would be more than that. Well, I kind of lost track after a while. Don't.
Oh yeah. I'm sending this to your wife.
I am not happy with it.
Give me a shimmy here.
What's the armor rating on this?
It'll stop a knife, it'll stop a sword, slashing.
Get an Norseman out.
Yeah, no, seriously, you can stab them with this.
Don't lay on the sun too long. This is.
All right, taking a quick little few-minute breather here. It's kind of tough sitting in the car for like 13 hours yesterday and standing all day today. It's a bit of a weird shift. Anyway, John and I just gave our talk, which you obviously just saw. It was pretty amazing. It's really nice to be able to share my thoughts and my experiences, and the questions were the best. So after that, I just stood around with a bunch of people, and they were asking me random knife questions, like follow-up questions after the spotlight that we had. And after doing all that talking about knives, I realized I also have a knife making mini course in about an hour. And I'm like, how do I talk about all that stuff without repeating what I just said in there? So I'm kind of scrambling to figure out what to talk about, but it should be easy. I brought a lot of my fixtures and stuff, so that'll be fun. But hopefully I'm inspiring people and answering the questions that need to be answered. Guys are asking me things like, well, basically, should I get a Tormach? That's why everybody's here. And the answer is not always yes, but the answer is often yes if you're asking that question. As I've been telling people today, big machine shops should not buy 50 Tormachs. They should buy proper industrial machines to do what they need to do. However, it depends on what your budget is and what you're trying to make. And if you're just starting out, I mean, you have no business borrowing tons and tons of money, $100,000 to buy a big proper machine, because you're going to crash it and break it, and it's going to make you cry. Whereas you can crash the Tormach all day long, and it's not strong enough to break itself, which is a detriment in the industrial world because they need powerful machines. But for learners and small businesses and everything, the Tormach's just fantastic. There's a limit, and eventually you outgrow it. And Saunders and I were nearing the point when we want something else. And but I mean, back when we got the Tormachs, we could not have gotten anything else. Even just getting the Tormach was big and scary. So I know there's a lot of other people in that phase in their lives right now that
are thinking the same thing. Like, it's ridiculous to think of getting a better machine. Of course there's better out there, but that's not the point. The point is you get what you need when you need it, because that'll accomplish your goals. And once you're clear on that, then you can do it. Anyway, ramble over. This is going great. This is a really cool event. I'm really glad I came out. There's a lot of really cool Tormach owners here doing some really neat things. One guy makes chainmail and makes chainmail making machines. So he'll actually make the coils that get cut into chainmail. Another guy makes... one guy started making knives. He showed me some knives. They're really cool. I don't remember. I'm getting a bit brain fried right now. And then some guys are bringing in parts that they made manually and going, can I make this on the Tormach? And obviously the answer is yes, but how efficiently or how effectively or whatever can it be done? And is the Tormach the right machine for them? And for some of the guys, the answer is definitely yes. So anyway, let's got to get back out there.
We still see that as a really economical.
Apparently they make money out of it now. Apparently.
You mark your spindle height at 0, and you can come in. Yes, I do have to be in tool 0. Again. Thank you. Sure. And it automatically. Just going to get to the point. Oh, there it is. Now, what I do is I take my screwdriver and I give it a 180. So a good half turn. And you'll actually see the motor push forward. Not that much, but you'll see it walk it back up. And I like to watch my DRO. Walk it back till my DRO reads 0, and then look at what your indicator is saying. If your indicator is at 0.8,
The man behind the lens. This is Tormach's video.
Hi there. How are you?
My buddy Monty. Have you ever seen one of these?
Yes, I haven't seen this one.
Oh, have you? Hey, John, can you hand these out to me at the end of your demo and then remind them to drop off their safety glasses at the cabinet?
Okay.
Just comic cards.
I will do my best to remember that.
Thank you. That would be good.
Uh-oh. Diagnosing your knife. He's want to know why it moves so smooth.
Magic.
I was like, ask him, he's here. They have to put batteries on. I was wondering. What do when you get that smooth? You don't get that with a Teflon bushing from your line.
You get that by making your own ball bearings.
Really?
What type of finish is this on here?
It's called a stone-washed finish. So we've got this vibratory tumbler with ceramic media in it.
Okay. So what gives it its original color here? What material is this?
It's this, titanium.
Oh, it's titanium.
And then it's anodized bronze.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah.
Anodized. I didn't realize you could anodize titanium.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a beat. Is it this heat color?
That's electroanodizing.
Okay.
But just playing around with colors, basically.
I'm sorry?
Playing around with colors.
Yeah.
So I'm just about to give a 45-minute talk about knife making and how to use the Tormach machines for knives. So I've got all my goodies here, lots of sample parts and everything. I brought some fixtures to show everybody. And a few minutes out, we got a pretty good crowd coming up here. So we'll see how it goes. Should be fun.
He's using tool changer, or what do you got your eye on? That's
Probably the full and the screw, when you screw it down, it centers that hole. And it's not, I can see how it's not the most accurate thing, but it's accurate enough, especially if you go in.
So I should do it at my iPhone, right?
Yeah.
Just see if this works.
Should the bevel, the main bevel, and figure out if you want to do them on side with a rougher that's at a little bit of an angle, you want to lay them down, do that.
It's titanium
you know, with on an angle plate or whatever. Basically, well, if you did it like this, it basically flat.
Jim Skill? Yeah. Yeah, like nothing but things to say.
Like we have like a.
All right. Give me another. Let's do this here. Who are you? What are you doing here?
I work for Autodesk, and my name is Curtis Chan, and I work on the Fusion 360 team. We're at Tormach, hanging out with the myth, the man, the legend, Mr. Grismo himself, the knife maker. The knife maker, hold on, right here. There's his product, and look at his YouTube videos, look at NYCCNC YouTube videos, check out HSM Works, check out Inventor HSM, and check out Fusion 360.
We are huge Autodesk fans.
Huge Autodesk fans. Coming from the myth, the man, the legend right here, guys. Signing out.
Have to come to our shop soon.
Where are you guys based?
Toronto.
Oh, okay. Do we have an office in Toronto? You should come visit our office. I'll bring you to the office.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. We're downtown Toronto.
Like I'm an hour out of Toronto.
Oh, everybody's at it. We have a lot of people that work out of.
Well, hello everyone. The Tormach trip is over. I'm on my way home. It's been an amazing, incredible few days. I actually had a wonderful drive on the way down here. It took 13 hours instead of 9 hours. But it was just amazing to have that much time in the car alone to think and to listen to some podcasts that might have changed my life. And then the whole event at Tormach has been completely amazing. I met some wicked people. Got to hang out a lot with my really good friend John Saunders. We'd never actually met before. So we actually bunked together in a hotel 2 nights and got to stay up and gab like little schoolgirls about everything, business, life, family. What an amazing new friend. I have so much admiration for John Saunders, and I think we're going to have a long, happy friendship together. We had those 2 talks at Tormach. Oh, they were so well received. I had so many people coming up to me afterwards that just absolutely appreciated everything that we do, John and I, and everything we stand for and everything we share, and it's just incredible. Like, I got goosebumps now just thinking back on some of it. Had some amazing questions from people in the audience. One of the guys, War Machine on Instagram and YouTube, he asked some really hard questions, which was really good. Like, what was the lowest point in my career in this whole entrepreneurship and everything? And I'm not going to say it to you because it was special for the class, but it was really nice to be able to answer that question and many others. And the knife making class was just awesome. Got to just ramble on for 45 minutes about how I make my knives. It was perfect. I literally spent 40 minutes of it before I looked at the clock and realized it had been 40 minutes and there's only 5 minutes left. That was really fun, and I think that class, when John and I did it, it ended up lasting for an hour 15 or something like that. Like, we had to get cut off. That was awesome, and then we had a little after party at the local restaurant in Tormach, and got to further hang out and connect with people on a one-on-one basis. I learned some awesome things. I met some amazing people. I met Curtis Chan from Autodesk Fusion 360. Never met him, heard of him before, but what an amazing guy. Curtis, you're awesome. I think I interviewed him a little bit earlier. Dude, we're gonna hang out. You better come to Toronto and check out my shop and hang out, let's do stuff together. So yeah, bringing it to a close, I am totally happy and satisfied that I came on this trip, regardless of the long drive. It was just huge amounts of fun, and being able to share, like I said in the beginning of my drive down, my goals for this trip are to share passion and to motivate people to pursue their dreams, to maybe start small businesses if it fits them, if it suits them. A lot of people came up to me and said, you know, should I get a tiny little mini mill desktop one, or should I get a Tormach, or should I get something better? So I asked everybody, you know, what's your budget, what's your goals, what do you want to make, do you have a market, etc., etc., and that will define, the answers to that will define what machine to get. Do you have any CNC experience? And depending on the answer, Tormach is the clear choice. If you have a small, decent budget, you know, to be able to afford a Tormach, if you don't know much about CNC, it's the perfect learning platform, because as I said in my speech, you can crash that thing all day long and it won't destroy itself. The bigger machines are scary, how powerful they are. And for a beginner, I don't know, that's terrifying. Especially a do-it-yourself or self-trained kind of guy. So yeah, it was just awesome. I'm so glad I got to connect with so many people. The staff at Tormach was awesome. I think they had an amazing time. And they were thrilled that everything worked out perfect. We had a huge attendance, almost 200 people, I believe. I got a lot of footage. I know Monty at Tormach got a lot of footage for their channel. And Saunders didn't really film anything, so this will count for his footage too. So yeah, I'm about halfway home probably, just coming up to Detroit, across the border. And it was an amazing trip. If you ever have a chance to go to a local event like this, or whether it's a manufacturing conference or a tool show or an open house or whatever, if it interests you, you have to go, because it will change your life depending on where you're at. Like when I first got into knives, 2 months later I flew to Vegas on borrowed money and went to the first knife show that I could find, and that started this whole thing. And actually, I'll admit, one of my lowest points, like I mentioned before, was right before knives. And the few years before that, when I didn't have a direction, I didn't know what I was going to do. And knives were my savior, because I've always loved knives, always had a passion for them, but not in the custom, I can do it myself kind of way. I just always carried a pocket knife since I was 11, every single day. But I gotta say, knives were my savior, and now I have this market where I can express myself, I can charge a decent fee, and the customers are more than happy to pay it. They consider me low price for extremely high product in the market. And I get to do that now. And I get to previously work out of my garage and now work out of the new shop. And hugely thanks to Tormach, but also thanks to the customer base and my own determination, and my brother helping out, my wife supporting me, and John Saunders constantly poking me and prodding me to do better just with his videos, watching him, and all the comments on YouTube and blah blah blah. You know, I'd like to thank the Academy kind of thing, but after sharing my story with so many people at Tormach, I really get a sense for how much of an impact both John Saunders and I are actually making in this world. And you know, we joked last night as we were talking, it was almost midnight, and we're like, dude, we are changing the world. You know, it's on a small scale, but our videos, our goofy little, like, this is what we're going to do today videos, are impacting people and motivating people to do cool stuff. And it's amazing, and I want to continue doing it. This brings so much passion and joy into my life that I have to continue doing this. Regardless of making knives, that's a business, that's making money. But to change the world, I mean, I'm in a position to do that now, and I see it, and I have to do it. I have to act on that. So okay, I'm gonna cut it there because I could keep rambling for the next 30 minutes, but maybe I'll do more videos like this, more thought videos, you know, inside the mind of John Grimsmo kind of thing, because they could be helpful to people and they're fun to do. So I'm gonna cut out, but Tormach was awesome. Definitely go, and thank you all so much for watching, and keep it real. Cheers, bye.